What's happening, everybody? Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter, in conjunction with the 2011 Donkey Punch Central Awards. And this is it. This is the ultimate award. The final award to be given out. My personalized top 20 best movies on the year. And quite frankly, there's only one way to introduce this award. There's only one song that's going to give it the kind of justice that it deserves. You may remember it from Homeward Bound. You may remember it from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Yeah? Nice? It's even in the public domain, so I'm not going to get in trouble when I monetize these videos. Alright, it's enough of that. I found that by searching epic public domain music on YouTube. It is the Overture, of course. Alright. So, enough of that bullshit. Let's get down to the actual awards. This is my top 20 personal best movies on the year. I did want to start this sort of by saying there were movies this year that I really wanted to see that I didn't get a chance to. The chances are could have made this list. And I want to give shout-outs to them because they were good movies. I just didn't get a chance to see them, I'm sure. Adventures of Tintin, Anonymous, The Artist, Contagion, The Craigslist Killer, The Help, Jane Eyre, Melancholia, Moneyball, My Perestroika, Rango, Red State, Textuality, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, The Turin Horse and Warrior. I know there's other movies that I missed too. Those are the ones that it really gutted me that I missed them because I'm sure they would have shown up somewhere on these lists. Anyways, we're going to start with the top 20, of course starting from the bottom, and these were movies that, just to give you some kind of a focal point, these movies were movies that I ranked an 80 on Criticker, so 8 out of 10, 4 out of 5 stars, whatever you want to say. Let's get at it. Number 20 on the list for me this year is Fright Night. Fright Night, starring Colin Farrell, Imogen Poots, David Tennant, and Christopher Mintz-Plasse, who, if you don't recognize the name, was McLovin from Superbad. It's a remake. It's a remake of I think it was 1985 or something like that. It's a horror comedy where Colin Farrell plays a vampire who moves in next door to this family, and the main character is trying to save his mom and his girlfriend and his friends and everything from this vampire that's moved in. It does the original justice. It was really funny. David Tennant especially is hilarious in this movie. And I love Imogen Poots. She was in 28 Weeks Later. If you don't recognize the name, she was phenomenal in that, and she's really good in this. Yeah, it's funny. It's got frights in it. I actually have to give Colin Farrell props, which I don't usually like to do. But no, it was a good movie, and it does the original justice, and it's my number 20 best movie on the year. Number 19 is I Am Number 4. I Am Number 4 is a sci-fi movie starring Timothy Olyphant and Alex Pettyfer. There we go. I'm very forgiving to sci-fi. I've said that in multiple videos before. But this one I actually thought was just straight good. It feels to me like it's the start of a franchise. I know it didn't get great reviews, but just the way that they set it up. I Am Number 4, it tells the story of this group of, I believe there's 7 or 8 or 9 of these children from this planet that gets destroyed, and they get sent to Earth, and they're spread all over Earth so that the people that destroyed the planet can't find them. But this group of people that destroyed this planet, the Mogs, do find them, but they have to kill them in order. Each one of the kids has a number assigned to them, and they're killing them in order. So they've killed number 1, number 2, and number 3, and the main story focuses around number 4. It feels like a good start to a franchise. It was unexpectedly funny for a sci-fi movie that, like, you don't usually go to a sci-fi movie expecting to laugh your head off, but it's a really funny movie. The Moogs especially, or Moogs, or however you pronounce it, they're supposed to be these menacing, beastly badasses with space rifles. And yet they come off really, really funny. And I think it was intentional, which is just something that the audience wasn't expecting. And that really added a certain element to the movie. I am number 4, my number 19, best movie on the year. Number 18, X-Men First Class. James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence, Kevin Bacon. I'm not a huge connoisseur of the comics, so I can't really say whether or not the development of the characters and the origin stories are all that accurate with the comics. Nor can I really comment on whether or not it was a good cast or a good crop of mutants. I heard a lot of people criticizing, they're like, oh my god, the crop of mutants in this movie is so bad. And I mean, maybe it is, but I don't know. To me, it worked because, again, I'm not really a big connoisseur of the comics. Of course, James McAvoy playing the future Dr. Charles Xavier, Michael Fassbender playing the future Magneto, and it just gives, you know, a certain perspective on the origin story of the X-Men. It has some wonky dialogue in it, but it's fun. I mean, it's fun to watch these sort of new mutants struggling with their powers and developing their powers and everything like that. Plus, it's set against a pretty cool Cold War backdrop with the Cuban Missile Crisis and everything like that, which I'm a history nerd, so I love that stuff. X-Men First Class, my number 18 movie on the year. Number 17 is In Time, Justin Timberlake and Amanda Seyfried. This is a movie where your basic idea of currency has been replaced with an idea of time. You live for 25 years. You don't age past 25. So you live for 25 years for free. And then after your 25th year, you have a year left. And there's a countdown clock on your arm that counts down from a year. And you can live longer than that by working. Instead of working for money, you work for time. And it's got a really cool concept to it. It's bogged down in some kind of heavy-handed social commentary, but I like that stuff, and I like what it says about, you know, money and capitalism and everything like that. I like those messages, so it doesn't come off as heavy-handed to me because it's stuff that I've heard before. But it came off as heavy-handed to some people, and I can understand that. But it was just, visually, it was a very good-looking movie. It had all the sort of eye candy that you would expect from a world full of 25-year-olds. It had good pacing. It had good action scenes to it. It was just a solid movie that got crap, I think, for the fact that Justin Timberlake was in it, but it was a good movie to me. In fact, my number 17 best movie on the year. My number 16 best movie on the year is Hannah. We talked a little bit about Hannah in an earlier video, so I won't go into huge detail. Saoirse Ronan, Eric Bana, and Cate Blanchett. And, of course, Saoirse Ronan plays a child assassin, the daughter of Eric Bana, who he is training her to kill Cate Blanchett's character eventually down the line. This is a movie that had just a lot of great elements all coming together at the same time. Had a great cast, the whole idea of a child assassin, which I absolutely love. Had a European aesthetic to it. They were in Europe, and just the whole backdrop of Europe is just gorgeous, and that always works for me. And it had a killer soundtrack, completely done by the Chemical Brothers, and the soundtrack was amazing. It was just really great, and it fit the movie perfectly. It just had all kinds of elements come together to make for a great movie, and the number 16, my number 16 best movie on the year. Moving on to number 15, and we're also moving into the movies that I ranked in 85. So we're getting up there. I'll let the cat out of the bag now. I didn't rank any movie 100 this year, but there are a couple of 95s and 90s and 85s that we're going to get to. Starting in the 85s, my number 15 best movie on the year, Horrible Bosses. And Horrible Bosses, the first straight comedy that comes up on the list, and it won't be the last one, but it's the first one. And this movie to me was all about the great cast. You had Jason Bateman, you had Jason Sudeikis, you had Charlie Day, Colin Farrell, Kevin Spacey, Jennifer Aniston, Jamie Foxx, just all playing phenomenal characters. And of course, if you don't know what Horrible Bosses was, it was a story about three guys played by Jason, and Charlie, who hatch this scheme to kill and just sort of get out of the way these three horrendous bosses played by Kevin Spacey, Jennifer Aniston, and Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell plays just a total lazy tool douchebag, which I'm sure is not all that difficult for him to play. Jennifer Aniston plays this sexual deviant man-eater boss to Charlie Day, and Kevin Spacey plays this lunatic, this psychotic asshole office manager who's just, you know, and it's so funny to watch these three, the three bosses especially, really have fun with their character and really take their character to the next level. Charlie Day, I do have to say, was the absolute MVP of this movie. He's so funny. And it's one of my first experiences with Charlie Day, and it's made me physically go seek out other movies that he's been in, because his performance in this was just phenomenal. And it earned the number 15 spot on my top 20 best movies of the year. Number 14, moving on to Battle Los Angeles. Aaron Eckhart and Michelle Rodriguez. What I do want to say about this movie is a lot of people criticize this movie as being war propaganda, and I have to take issue with it, because it's like every movie that shows, I'm not pro-military by any means, but it's like any movie that shows the military in any kind of positive light whatsoever somehow gets labeled as war propaganda. I didn't see this as war propaganda at all. Battle Los Angeles is the story of a group of Marines who are tasked with trying to turn back this invading alien force that has invaded and attacked Los Angeles. And it's like, yes, it's a movie that shows the Marines in a very positive light, but that doesn't make it war propaganda. It just sounds to me like it's armchair reviewers like myself, don't get all uppity, I'm one too, but it's armchair reviewers trying to sound smarter than they actually are by calling, oh, it's pro-military, it's war propaganda. It's not. Fuck off. You're an idiot. Anyways, it's a movie that's convention done very well. You can pretty well call it. You pretty well know that there's, like, the way the pendulum is going to shift in this movie. You can pretty well call it. But it's convention that's done really well. It's a good story. Aaron Eckhart gives a good performance. Michelle Rodriguez gives a good performance. It's a lot of conventions done really well. And despite the fact that it didn't get the greatest reviews from a lot of people, it felt to me while I was watching the movie like it was the beginning of a franchise. Like it's going to be like a battle franchise. It starts with Battle Los Angeles. Maybe the next one's Battle New York, or Battle Miami, or Battle Las Vegas, or something like that. It feels to me like it's the start of a sequel, or start of a franchise. So, anyways, I would be looking forward to the second one. I enjoyed it. Screw you, not war propaganda. Number 14, best movie on the year. My number 13 best movie on the year, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. This had James Franco, John Lithgow, and Andy Serkis. Andy Serkis, if you don't remember, played Gollum in The Lord of the Rings. This movie, directed by Rupert Wyatt, it's a reboot of the Planet of the Apes franchise from whenever it was, the 70s or the 80s, that really fell flat on its face because there were too many sequels. But this is a phenomenal, realistic feeling reboot to the series, and this is why I give, again, in the previous video, I give Rupert Wyatt so much credit, because he took a movie franchise, I should say, that was so sort of comedic and hokey, and he made something very realistic feeling out of it. Which it was an absolute pleasure to watch. And he took a movie about apes, and nobody really was laughing at it, and that I think is a great achievement. The movie was paced really well. It had fantastic performances. John Lithgow's especially. Lithgow was the MVP of the movie. He plays James Franco's father, who is losing his mind to Alzheimer's, and he just plays a great performance. He really, really does. Rise of the Planet of the Apes, one of my big surprises on the year, ends up number 13 on my top 20 list. Number 12 on this list, Megan is Missing. And if you didn't see this movie, you can be forgiven, but you really missed out. Megan is Missing, starring Amber Perkins and Rachel Quinn, two names you probably don't know. Megan is Missing is the story of these two girls who are best friends who meet this internet predator. And it's a very gritty movie that's difficult to watch. For the first little bit of the movie, before they actually meet the guy, it's difficult to watch for a whole other reason, and it's strictly because of the dialogue. The dialogue is hard to listen to, especially if you're not a teenage girl, or a teenager in general. The dialogue is hard to listen to, and that was a lot of people sort of blasted it for that. It's like, oh my god, this dialogue is so terrible. But you got to consider too that you're trying to portray characters who are like inner city and middle American teenagers. Like, how do you think they're going to talk? They talk exactly like they do in the movie. And yeah, a lot of the movie, that included, is uncomfortable for a lot of different reasons, but it's not a movie that's about comfort. It's a movie that's about realism, and that's what they went for, and that's what they achieved. I called it in my review, I called it a disturbing triumph, because it is very difficult to watch, because ultimately, sorry, spoiler alert, the two girls get kidnapped, and there's a relatively graphic rape scene in the movie. It's not an easy movie to watch. It's a movie that will test you as a viewer. But I thought the movie was phenomenal. I thought it was really well done. It was such a great introduction to the world for the two girls that are in it, Amber Perkins and Rachel Quinn. It ended up being my number 12 best movie on the year. My number 11 best movie on the year was Drive Angry, and I can feel people stopping watching the video already. Drive Angry, Nicolas Cage, Amber Heard, and William Fichtner. Drive Angry is the story of, well, Nicolas Cage's character basically comes back from hell to try and find the people who killed his daughter and stole his grandchild. He meets up with Amber Heard, who is a trailer park princess, basically. Her biggest storyline for most of the movie is denying her boyfriend oral sex until they get married, or just sex in general, or whatever. But anyways, it was a good movie. It was insane. It was raw, and it was trashy, but it was really exciting and fun to watch. It had an interesting story. It had good performances by everybody, and I'll just point out too, William Fichtner and Nicolas Cage were like born to be on the screen together. These guys together were just great. Like, every scene that they were together in was just sit back, because it's such a treat to watch those two together, especially in a movie like this. Drive Angry, my number 11 movie on the year, and can you believe it? Are you getting hyped? You better be getting hyped, because we are into the top 10.